Introducing Instagram Teen Accounts, a new way to keep your teen safer as they grow, like making sure they always have their seatbelt on.
All right, sweetie pie, buckle up. Good job.
Or ring the bell on their bike.
Okay, kid, give it a try. Nice.
Or remember their elbow pads.
Knees too, okay? Yep. There you go.
New Instagram Teen Accounts. Automatic protections for who can contact your teen and the content they can see.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1098, June 15th, 2023. How do we slow down the world? 95 degrees on this day in 2018 and 41 degrees on this day in 1989. The air's starting to clear up a little bit. You know darn well the kids will be flooded back to the beach. I hope it's been kept free of weeds and algae by Aquaside, White Bear Lake products made right there in White Bear Lake. You call Aquaside, tell them what you're looking at. They'll get you the right products, and your beach will look great all summer long. Where in the hell is the Aquaside copy?
Well, it's over there because, they've been around forever and a proud supporter of Garage Logic for quite some time.
Well, and the products are safe. They're used, they got them. You can get them.
They're used quickly.
And they're safe. And I sure like it.
What about the fish? Are the fish going to be okay?
Fish are fine.
How about your kids? Your kids going to be okay?
They're pellets. You throw these pellets in the drink, and then bing, bang, boom. You got clear water.
Gin.
I apologize. I have no idea
water.
where the phone number is.
That's
Aquaside.com. Get a hold of Aquaside. Tell them exactly what you're looking at.
Maybe don't have them listen to this particular ad, but yes, let them know that you heard about them on GL.
I'm going to find
for sure.
that.
Why do we compare water to gin? That doesn't sit right with me.
Gin-colored water, not gin. I'm not comparing it to gin.
Gin is the color of water. It's clear. Why not just say nice, clear water?
Gin has a different color than water. It's even clearer.
Has a purple hue.
That's why it gets used. And I promise you, when we come back after this song, I'm going to have the phone number for Aquaside.
Okay.
Thank
and
you.
now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic
walking around
with Chris Reavers and Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course,
and I got nobody to help
here
me.
Here is your flashlight.
Staff is a
fireworks commissioner and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Susher.
Where's this moron?
I don't know. I can look them up, Joe, because I
have them right here. I have an 800 number. I don't know.
Here's the number: 1-800-328-9350. That's Aquaside.com. It is a great product. I've used it. I've watched it work, and it works. Aquaside.com.
I'm a bit offended that while I was looking that up, you were calling me. What'd you call me?
Well, in fairness, John, he called all of us the same thing.
That's true. Yeah. But I was looking it up. You guys weren't.
It's probably a good thing when you called it a song that you did pick a career in AM radio as opposed to FM radio. I don't think you would have made a good speed break DJ.
Well, we all, including me, we all should be held under suspicion.
Oh, no.
If Bert's listening, Bert is owed an apology.
If he was offended?
If he was offended. Then there's a new rule in Garage Logic. Where is this idiot? Rookie.
That's the rule?
God bless it. He can never, ever again bring in anything, a letter or anything, Rook. Never again. Never. We did, in fact, read your letter to Sonny prior to Tuesday.
How do we know this?
Well, we'll know it this way. Bert insisted we did, and we all poo-pooed it.
Yeah, but
said, no.
He had key information, though. He said he had heard that one line before.
We played it on March 5th, 2019. Tim writes, Timbuktu, and he's never gotten anything wrong, as far as I know. On Tuesday's podcast, you read a letter Rookie had written to a friend when he was 9. On yesterday's podcast, a listener was willing to bet $1 million that you had read that letter on the show before. I hope you didn't take him up on that bet. Sorry to say, Joe, but on March 5, 2019, you opened the show with that same letter. You even made many of the same comments about Rookie spelling and punctuation and the fact that it was typewritten. In 2019, you said, I'm detecting a pattern here. You ask a question, Rook, and then you respond yourself. I believe you made the same comments this week. The letter itself was quite memorable because Rookie described a certain part of the male anatomy as located between the legs. On both occasions, you lauded Rookie for providing this helpful information. Even more surprising is the fact that none of the dummies recalled that you had done this before, even the author of the letter himself. The entire staff was there except for Kenny. This was pre-COVID, so I assume Rookie actually brought the letter into the studio and handed it to you. But on the positive side, Tan & Scan is offering a group discount for parties of 4 or more. And now we have the link from March 5th, 2019.
That's unbelievable.
Not much.
Pretty much, yeah. I set my sights.
Well, I have to read this. This is a letter you would have written when you were 9.
Yeah, what's the date on it? 79?
May 14, 1979.
Okay, yeah. 9 or 10.
Of course, you got a comma between May and 14.
You know,
I don't have enough light.
I was having
trouble.
trouble.
I want a reading here.
I was having trouble with my laptop at the time.
This deserves
wait a minute.
Deserves a reading.
Johnny, you know what we should do here?
What?
Because people love when we do this on Twitter.
Yes.
You should film this and put this very inspirational, heartfelt reading on social media.
Can I have my volume on this thing?
How about that, brah?
Oh, no. You're not going to be good.
What's the title of it?
Dear Sonny.
Sonny was John David
Here we
Winters
go.
Jr., who lived down the block from me on Juno. Wow. Moved away to Rosemount in first or second grade, and I hadn't seen him in a while. He was Craig and Sonny were
This is our
a couple
last
of my
show.
best pals.
And for
Why?
God would only know, seriously, only God would know why this is typed.
I know
it's
why.
Typewritten.
I know why it's typed.
Good observation.
I'm sure at that age I may have been maybe a handful to my mother.
Sure.
So I'm sure Judith was smart enough to
Gave
say,
you a typewriter to shut you
you know
up.
what? This ought to take at least 2 hours.
Give him a project.
Give him a project. Here's some typing paper. I don't care if you make any
And
mistakes.
Sonny's a buddy who moved away from the neighborhood.
John Winters. I wish I could find him. His dad worked at Daniker's on Randolph.
Dear Sonny, how are you? Well, I fine. First, I wanted's one word, to wish your mother, which is one word, Happy Mother's Day.
That's the Eddie Haskell and me.
Secondly,
wishing Kathy Winters a happy Mother's Day.
Bowles school going.
Oh,
Probably meant to say how's school going.
I bet.
With or fine. Are you playing any sports? Well, I am playing ochre.
Yeah.
Probably meant soccer.
This wasn't working. Sure.
We are, one word, 0-2.
Yep.
Our first game, we lost 17-0.
That's why I hate
It's
soccer.
hard to do in soccer.
It really is.
We just played our second game today and lost 5-0. Hopefully, we will win, one word, our next game on Monday. Probably Monday.
I got.
How's the Tig?
Tiger was a boxer that they had. Big, huge boxer that was very sweet and fun to, play ball with.
Well, Happy is fine.
That's my schnauzer.
See, I'm detecting a pattern here.
Oh, God.
You ask a question and then respond about yourself.
Jesus Christ.
So in the opening
the
sentence,
script.
you say, how are you? Well, I fine.
I'm not even waiting for an answer.
No,
am I?
you don't wait for an
No,
answer.
right.
You say, how's Tiger? Well, Happy's fine.
Happy's fine. He's barking up a storm, chasing squirrels.
How's your schnauzer?
Yeah.
Paul just got a job at Daniker's. Did you know that me and Craig got in a fight?
Craig was my next door neighbor at the time. I'm still friends
Then you
with
answer
Craig.
yourself and say, well, we did.
Yeah. How would he know? Oh, we did. You didn't even know that?
My dad said I did a pretty good fight. What the hell?
Like Dad was watching from the picture window. Lower, hit him on the right side. Jab, jab, jab.
We all should be
well,
my dad said I did a pretty good fight. Tommy Engel was by me.
He was another friend. He was another onlooker. Apparently, there's no one there to stop the fight. It was just hordes of people in there watching us.
And he was tempted, and you attempted to put a hyphen to take that word tempted to the next sentence, but you put the hyphen after the M. So you were tempted to punch Craig right in the mouth.
What's wrong with me?
M-U-O-T-H. And then Craig kicked the right one between the legs.
No. What did I cross out?
I don't know. But Tommy...
You missed it. No, you missed a key sentence there.
You really did.
You missed a key sentence there.
Kicked him right in the penis. Between the legs, which is a good spot for it. I mean, it's not going to be elsewhere.
But then, my Catholic upbringing thought maybe that was a bit too strong for
Sonny. Crossed it out.
So I went back and I just did the hyphen to cross it out.
But Tommy did not punch him. Well, I just wanted to talk to someone. Friend, always Matt.
Yeah,
it's just one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. You had no skill whatsoever. You're at this point. You're 11 years old.
That's pretty good for 10-year-old, isn't
for
it?
For 11, I know 6 years old to do better than this.
You know, there's a lot to glean from this letter.
All right, that's it.
How did not one of us?
I wasn't here.
We remember. You're excused, but we remember everything. We remember.
Rookie, you remembered where this kid's dad worked 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You remembered the name of his dog.
The other thing we didn't pick up, just like we didn't pick up Tuesday, why do you have the letter?
Yeah.
Because you didn't mail it. Never again can you bring in anything. Seriously.
Letters I've written,
never
meaning
again,
to
because
send.
We're caught now. We're being revealed for our idiocy.
Joe, do you suppose if we required him to rewrite this letter now, it would be any better?
Yes.
What type of improvement?
It would be.
I would know Monday. I wouldn't know Monday.
It was almost as if parts of it were scripted, though, because we had the same reactions that we had yesterday.
And Bert, I'm glad we didn't formally make $1 million bet because I don't have $1 million.
We do have one question from the sales staff. They're wondering then, is the show the other day a best of?
No, it isn't. And neither is this.
Feels like it.
So far, anyway.
Feels like Groundhog.
Yeah, why didn't you just rerun that segment yesterday? That's what Royce would have done.
Hey, rerun that.
That's amazing. And as I sit here, I don't recall doing this in 2019.
But the fact that all 4 of us didn't catch it.
I have zero recollection. And I would remember.
I remember the
Maria,
author of the letter.
I remember Maria coming to the fair with that. I remember that stuff. Wow.
That's astonishing.
Well, I apologize. This is my doing to bring it up.
And never again will you bring in anything. Because, no, it's not your fault. I'm just saying because we'll probably do something and then completely forget that we did.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have people.
When you ask me a tough question, Joe, from now on, I'm just going to say, don't you remember we talked about that?
We had that on the show.
2019, yeah. Big year.
I'm surprised Walls, maybe accompanied by the 2 mayors and 300 or 400 of their redundant cabinet members, haven't called a press conference to take credit for Minnesota being number 1 in the nation for chunks of soot.
We're on the chart.
For a while there, we were number 1 in the world.
Yeah.
Number 1 in the world for bad air.
We're talking China, India,
winners.
Kazakhstan.
These morons have chirped about everything else.
We can't win the Stanley Cup. We can't win a Super Bowl.
God, Rice's tweet was just fantastic.
Those long-suffering fans in Vegas?
Yes, the drought is over.
Yeah. And then you watch that long slog to the Cup, and I just look at the local situation. I don't see the Wild ever accomplishing
ever. Move them. They can move away as far as I'm concerned.
I don't want that. I love the National Hockey League, and I like the Wild a great deal. But
send them to Fargo.
Boy, do they have a long road to climb. Holy mackerel.
Bunch of dogs.
To put together a group that can do that is really amazing.
Well, look at the success of the whole franchise. Whoops.
Oh.
There was an interesting piece in the...
He's calling.
Turn the damn thing off.
I'm trying
interesting piece earlier this week. I think I saw it in the Star. Well, I don't know where I saw it, about how these hockey coaches are much like school superintendents.
Oh, it's a great club.
They just go from job to job, and they fail the same way in every single city.
They're like socialism.
Yep.
It'll work this time it'll work. They get hired. This time it'll work. But the Vegas one. We're number one in bad air. Minnesota. Isn't that fitting? Coming off the most irresponsible legislative session in history, we're now number one in bad air, and it was bad.
It really was bad.
It's a little better today, but I still, it's just dreadful.
From the airport, when you're on 5, you couldn't see across the river.
I rarely tweet, but I tweeted out, this is what the air is going to smell like when we all drive electric cars. And many, many people who read that possibly missed the point. Electricity itself is odorless. Electricity has no smell. But when electricity is involved in any in any burning situation, you smell the air you smelled yesterday. Plastics, connectors, whatever's melting. That air yesterday smelled like a plastic fire.
Yeah.
And once the world is full of these electric vehicles and a couple of them catch on fire, that's what the air is going to smell like.
Oh.
Now, a lot of them would have to catch on fire for the air to be as bad as yesterday, but that's what an electric fire smells like. Smells like yesterday.
All right, Positive Thursday.
Well, I'm an outdoor guy.
Yeah?
I chose to stay inside, which is really rare for me. I'd rather have, tornado warnings and all sorts of weather as opposed to what we had yesterday. I think it's dreadful. And it's not climate change. It was a forest fire.
Right. A major forest fire, and that's what happens. That's the result.
Smells like a house fire.
And now the main glob of it is moving towards Chicago.
Oh, man.
And another main glob of it is moving back into New York, where apparently the AQI, the Air Quality Index, last week in New York, remember they had to call off a Yankee game and other outdoor activities? The AQI in New York hit 400. That's, that's soot the size of television sets.
Yeah,
that's chunks that you can't even avoid. That's
very unhealthy.
Well, it could be hazardous. Now, I was wondering last night, given that I'm capable.
I got chunks of guys.
Well, that's the wrong chunks.
Yep.
Oh.
I'm capable of neurosis. What are we going to do if the AQI got to hazardous? What are you supposed to do?
Start smoking, I hope.
I mean, is that break glass smoke lucky time? Our AQI got to about 250. New York was 400.
Yeah.
What do you do if it gets to hazardous?
You stay inside. It's going to pass.
But the air gets in your house. I smelled it in the house, just not as bad.
Well, our house was closed up when I got home, and then I went out to do water turn the sprinkler on, all that kind of stuff. And she says, close the door. I said, why? The air's going to get it. Well, it's not like it's the blob is coming into the house.
Oh,
it's okay
for
5 minutes.
What I love, too, is the news channels. They managed to find people out jogging as though it was a normal condition. They interviewed one young guy. He looked fit. He should be thankful for that he's alive. And he said, my chest really hurts.
Oh, my God.
Well, and I thought,
Stop
how
running.
stupid are you?
Go inside.
Yeah.
What a moron.
Well, you can't talk that way to the people that have to work outdoors. What about these people? They don't have any choice. They're out there working anyway. Road construction, building construction, farmers.
I was talking,
what are you going to tell them?
I was talking about...
You fancy city folks with your air conditioning and special remote control fans.
I was talking about a jogger that the news channels found. I understand it was... I have people in my family who work outdoors. I'm worried about it.
Was the reporter running alongside them, or had they stopped?
Keeping pace in a car with
Doing
the window
a Roycey
open.
walk?
Window open about 2 inches. Hey, by the way, that NHL reference, the coach reference I made, that's from The Athletic. The headline is Why the NHL Keeps Recycling Coaches and Why It's a Problem. TheAthletic.com.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
It's bleeping embarrassing.
Say, I want to tell you about Mueller Memorial Funerals and Cremation. Great people. You want great people on your side at a time can be, fraught with sadness and anxiety and regret. But if you want to lighten that load, Mueller Memorial is the place to do it. They've been doing this for 75 years. They look at this differently. They don't look at this as a time of extraordinary loss. Certainly in some cases it is. But, Ma cashes out at 90. Light up the bar.
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
I mean, it's
Full life.
They know what they're doing, and they know how to dampen down that anxiety and that fear. They've been doing this for, as I say, 3 generations and more than 75 years. I personally know the owner, Scott Mueller. I've known him all my life. They take care of really difficult details in a way that's going to make you wonder what's going on here, because you feel a little lighter in the shoes about it. And what they do, and the key to this, is they figure out how to celebrate. Okay, now you don't normally associate the word celebrate with a funeral or cremation, but what you're celebrating is the life well lived.
I don't want doom and gloom.
I don't want doom and gloom.
No.
Give me the celebration of a life well lived in a state that's number one in chunks of soot. He went out a champion.
Right.
He went out a champion. Yeah, I know this isn't fun to think about or deal with, but once you learn about it, once you counsel with Mueller, you're going to feel some relief that this doesn't have to be as overwhelming as we all think it is. Go to MuellerMemorial.com.
The investment game can be awfully tricky, especially in these volatile times, and that's why you need the best, and also somebody that you can trust, and that's why I rely on Josh Arnold. We know him as Mr. Money Talk around these parts, and he's here for you. So give him a call today for that free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation by dialing 952-925-5608. 952-925-5608. Josh has been at this a long time with a track record of success, and he's here to help you. So give him a call today. No obligation. That's right. No obligation. It's absolutely free. 952-925-5608. And tell him you heard about him here on the Garage Logic podcast.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Well known to have the most exciting showroom in the region, Moon Motorsports. And boy, if you haven't been there, you really got to get up there, see that great cathedral to all things fun. They have 11 major brands right there on hand, and the service and part departments, big ones, they're going to help you get the most out of your machines. And when you do finally stop by, you're going to find a great lineup of off-road machines and a great lineup of Fox gear to go with them. Moon has the newest Fox gear in stock now. They also have a wonderful website at moonmotorsports.com. And you're going to see all the new and used inventory, really easy to page through that. And one of the first things, on their revolving banner is an ad coming up for Moon's Kids Day. It's a Kids Day event coming up. Wait a second. That's this weekend. It's 2 days from now, June 17th.
What is it? Kids Day.
Kids Day at Moon. The Wheelie Wizard stunt team is going to be there. And they're pretty cool. Yeah. They're actually pretty neat, doing tricks and stuff. They're right there in Monticello, 20 minutes from the Metro and south side of 94, west of 25. They are Moon Motorsports, your ATV side-by-side and adventure motorcycle brand leaders. MoonMotorsports.com.
Is Sunday Father's Day?
Sure is.
Have we had Mother's Day yet?
Yes.
That was in May?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. She ain't my mother.
Joe, being a father is the toughest job there is.
Wait. Okay, I don't know why Reavers is calling an alarm here, but he dashed out of the room. What do you have?
Speaking of Father's Day,
I
forgot to mention this in the first segment. The town council members are already somewhat aware, but
is this an announcement?
It is. This is the major announcement I meant to do at the beginning of the show. The 30th anniversary Garage Logic online store is now open.
Do tell.
It started at 8 o'clock this morning. Town council members will be made aware via email tomorrow. Am I supposed to read that? Yes. And we'll also begin.
Meaning they were made aware today, probably.
Today, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here, Rook. Here's your copy. Okay. So here's what we're going to do.
Suits. Look at this.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, you got the Knack shirt.
Kenny's got a Knack Hardware and Lounge hood and sweatshirt.
Hoodie. Yeah, John has the long sleeve, too. It's really
look
cool.
At that.
Yeah, very new.
So we're going to be updating the selection throughout the summer, adding a few items here and there. The current assortment is as follows and available in T-shirts, long sleeve tees, hoodies, and women's sizes. The standard GL hooded sweatshirt, which I think all three of us in this room ordered.
I did.
The Knack Hardware, what I do too, yeah. The Knack Hardware shirt, the Two Cycle Auto Works, University of Garage Logic Fire Department, the Failed Academy. Town council members are going to receive a 10% discount, and they should look at their email for the promo code. But again, it's online, garagelogic.com. I've gotten so many emails about GL flags.
Can I tell you something?
They're not
Go ahead,
there.
finish.
And they're not available with this particular Garage Logic
Maybe before
sale.
the end of the summer?
We're working on
it. I want a Failed Academy T-shirt because if you'll note closely, graduate is spelled wrong. It's supposed to be spelled wrong.
We did it again.
Yeah, no, but this time we spelled it wrong on purpose.
On purpose, okay.
I think there's some collector's items from the fair where it wasn't spelled on purpose.
Do you remember?
Incorrectly.
I have those.
When we did that and they sold out immediately.
That's like a rare stamp that got printed upside down or something.
And remember the big boss comes and says, great idea. Oh, yeah, we did that on purpose.
Here we go. They're all gone.
University.
Y. So anyway, the 30th anniversary Garage Logic garage sale is online now.
Well, wonderful.
Get it while it's hot, baby.
Jordy tipped me off to a piece in Town Hall about John Kerry most definitely hitting a new low.
Uh-oh, he's pretty low already.
Last week, the world marked the 79th anniversary of D-Day. We lost 2,501 Americans, 4,414 Allied deaths overall. And Kerry tried to make the anniversary of D-Day about climate change.
Oh, no.
And that's dreadful. He was speaking in Norway, and he said, today is June 6th, D-Day, one of the most singularly important moments of history. He was speaking to a shipping exhibition.
Okay.
And he flew there because he has to fly because he must saving the world. And then he said, this is a moment that calls to mind every single threat that defined the past half of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st. 79 years ago, on a 15-mile stretch of beach, Allied soldiers, many of them teenagers, jumped out of landing craft and onto the surf of Omaha Beach. They were fighting for a set of values, I would say to you, are just as important today as they were then. They put their lives on the line to fight against fascism, tyranny, and misinformation, and the savage slaughter of innocent lives. That was a fight for the future as much as anything we've ever faced, what we are seeing now is the same, he said. Kerry said the world is now in a decisive decade, and the price of failure could carry a greater consequence than those faced during the D-Day landings. What is clear right now is we can also win this fight, but it requires the same level of innovation and mobilization that was required back then by those in the greatest generation. Unlike the fight against Hitler, the climate battle is not won against a single enemy. Today's threat comes from all of us. I can't take this.
I can help you.
I can't take it. I can't take it.
I can help you take it. Put it in a different light. Mm-hmm. Imagine John Kerry is standing in front of a microphone being held by Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah.
Okay. He's just doing a promo. This is like when The Body took on Jumpin' Jim Brunzell and Greg Gagne.
The high criers, not the high flyers.
And then after they all got off camera in the back, they all high-fived each other, popped open a beer, and had a good laugh over the whole thing. That's what he's doing here. This is just hyperbole to the max. But along the way, and I'll grant this to you, he insulted every single veteran of all services.
And he himself is a vet.
Right.
He was speaking to the shipping industry, and he told them shipping is the 8th largest emitter of greenhouse gases. Okay.
Good key upbeat point.
The simple truth is the threat to our planet today comes from the emissions of burning fuels without capturing the emissions, which are byproducts of that burning. Can I stop right there? Have you ever seen the burning of fuels result in the air quality we had yesterday?
No, never. In my 54 years of existence.
What you had yesterday was foul air created by nature. Humans, didn't have anything to do with it other than poor forest management.
Or arson.
But what you saw yesterday was not the result of burning fossil fuels. What you saw yesterday was a forest fire.
And look at how fast it can happen. Look at how fast nature is.
And this blowhard, he was speaking before we knew about we knew that Minnesota was number one in the world. This blowhard is telling these shipping executives that they're partly to blame because their fleets of ships create the 8th largest emission of greenhouse gases in the world. And he is likening the fight on Omaha Beach to the fight that must be necessary now. And I find this guy despicable. We don't know what he's paid. We don't know how many people work for him in the department of him being a climate czar, with his phony flying around the country and getting flown out to his place on Nantucket and wherever else he wants to hang his hat. He's Nantucket.
Yeah.
And he's unhinged. There is no... would you rather deal with the climate or deal with another Hitler? I'll take my chances against the climate.
Yeah, go with the climate.
I'm going to go with the climate. Even though the climate turned on me and produced this bad air quality.
I have a serious question. Where does it go? How does it
smoke?
How does it exit?
It'll disperse. What happens? What happened? What was the great volcano in Washington State in 1980?
This is a serious question.
Mount St. Helens. We thought that was the end of the world. Well, you don't know what happened.
It was dark here.
Yeah. You don't know what happened. Can man do that? Has mankind done that?
Never.
Well,
never. Even when you're blowing something up.
Well, dated July 30th, 2021, headline, massive Tesla battery on fire at renewable energy plant in Australia. So, yes, man has.
Can do it, huh?
And to reference your tweet from yesterday, which a lot of people evidently didn't get, it'll happen again.
Well, it not only will happen again, but when it does, odorless electricity becomes very smelly because suddenly it's the smell of everything burning that is involved in the manufacture and use of the battery.
Hell, I can smell it when I charge a battery.
Yeah, me too.
On
Electrical
my bench.
contacts and plastic, and it was horrible.
You know
It's
why?
It's why we call it, let's boil up this battery so we can use it. Because it stinks.
What, Chris?
Because it's not smell radio.
It isn't. It is not smell radio. Now, why a forest fire in Canada smells like burning plastic, I don't know. But as it consumes land, I'm sure it's burning stuff.
You do have the Hall of Fame sniffer.
Oh, yeah.
So when you were out and about doing how long did it take you to detect it was plastic?
Yesterday morning, I said this on the show yesterday. Yesterday morning, I thought the air smelled like many summer mornings that I've smelled.
Okay.
Certain cities have distinctive smells. Los Angeles has a distinctive smell. New York has a distinctive smell. And I thought I had detected a very non-alarming odor in the air. We left the show yesterday. That had completely changed.
Yes.
When I went back outside yesterday at about 2:30, it was the smell of plastic burning.
Yep.
And it was frightful. I'm not going to sit here and say it was no big deal. It was a big deal.
There wasn't a bit of wind here yesterday. It was so bad.
Breathless.
At least today it's windy.
A little breeze blowing today as this glob apparently is going to move out, but it's taking its sweet time. But here's John Kerry. We don't know what the American taxpayers, how we're funding him and to what extent. We don't know how many acolytes he has working in this apparently new bureau of the government. We know nothing except he pops up every now and then to fly around and warn us that we have no time left. Now, we were talking before the show. We always think we should be trying to follow the money here. What is at stake for someone like Kerry to say the sky is falling? Is he personally going to become enriched beyond what he already is? His wife is a Heinz, as in Heinz ketchup. They have a lot of money.
Remember when he tried to dock his boat in a different state because the taxes were better than that?
Well, he's cheap like everybody else.
Yeah.
I know what he's doing.
What's he doing?
I know why we hear from him so infrequently. He's doing what an old general manager used to do when Ginny would be in town and in her office. Mm-hmm. He's making an appearance. He's earning his keep and keeping himself on the third rail. As soon as the boss flies out of town, now he'll go undercover for another month or so, and we'll hear from him at the end of August.
According to Axios.com, their projections, because I believe it was a couple of years ago that Biden had posted, this was July 6th of 2022, Biden had posted about the West Wing salaries. Kerry's was kept hidden, but according to Axios, it's roughly $20 million a year.
Jesus!
That's not plausible.
That can't be.
No, that's not.
Axios is a reliable outlet.
He's making more than Pat Sajak.
I have a thing from Chip Roy, who's not always reliable. He's a U.S. representative. Yeah. But he says that the entire budget for his, whatever we call it, department is $16.5 million a year.
Then maybe that's the whole budget then for the department. Okay.
But, Joe, he's been on the third rail since he was a kid. I mean, he was a military kid. He went through, what did I say before the show? Yale?
Private military school.
Before he even went into the military.
Because he has a net worth estimated around $300 million.
Well, so is Kerry standing to gain from this proselytizing?
Of course, somehow.
I don't know how. Like Gore has really gained. Gore sells whatever he sells.
Carbon credits, yeah.
And they're all phonies.
What a great scam.
You send in some money, you get a certificate. That's where it ends.
Plenary indulgences.
Is he also, I have another article here saying he is also Bank of America's Global Advisory Board Chairman.
I don't know anything about that.
I couldn't find anything like that.
That position alone brought in $5 million.
Okay.
It's good to be in that club, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is also on the payroll at Yale.
Really? For what? To frighten
Board work,
students?
he's an advisor.
You know
also
what he
does
is?
a lot of speeches, too, consulting speeches.
You know what he is in reference to his wife? He's turned it around. He is a male gold digger. He married rich.
He really did.
That's brilliant. That's what you did, didn't you?
No.
Isn't that? Oh.
Well, that's what the word is. But can't you have D-Day remarks without climate change?
You should.
Yeah, you should.
You sure as hell should not mention climate change when these guys you lose 2,500 guys or whatever it was.
And I don't think any of those soldiers were thinking about the climate at that particular time.
No.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
It was more than 2,500, Matthew. A little bit more.
It was 4,400 Allied, and it was 2,501 Americans. They were sitting ducks when they got off those landing craft. It was a hell of a deal. 4,414 Allied deaths and 2,501 Americans who gave their lives that day. And this big lurch, he wants to tell you that's he looks like Lurch. He wants to tell you that it's a battle akin to the battle we now face with the world climate, which is I don't accept that.
This is neither here nor there, but his grades at Yale were awful.
Really?
His freshman average, he averaged a 71. He improved that to an 81 for his senior year. Never received an A during his complete time at Yale.
Is he a lawyer? Did he get a law degree?
Yeah, he's a lawyer. Matt, I think
Is he?
we've got
Now
a friend
for sure,
in him,
Kenny?
don't we? Yeah, I just read it.
He's
We've
an
got
ally.
Did he? I wonder if he changed any D minuses to D plus.
What was that grading scale, John? 71? I've never heard of that before.
Well, up to 100.
Oh, okay.
Didn't you grade
I
that way
gotcha.
when you went to school? 90 to 100.
But you gotta you gotta love. He goes to a shipping exhibition and tells everybody what bastards they are.
Yeah, exactly.
God, what a jerk!
Then flies off in the private jet. But he told us, for someone as busy as he is, saving the world.
Yeah.
That's with
He's
the exception
Superman.
of confronting China. He wouldn't do that, of course. But
If you offset your carbon, it's the only choice for somebody like me who is traveling the world to win this battle. I negotiated the Paris Accords for the United States. I've been involved in this fight for years. I negotiated with President Xi to bring President Xi to the table
Well, you
so we
didn't.
could get Paris.
You're
And
lying.
I believe the time it takes me to get somewhere, I can't sail across the ocean. I have to fly to meet with people and get things done.
That's
but what I'm
right.
doing almost full time is working to win the battle for climate change.
He is
and
an
in the
important
end,
guy.
if I offset and contribute my life to do this, I'm not going to be put on the defensive.
Thank you, John.
Wow,
And
what a
thank you for your
trooper.
service. I rest easy every night knowing that you're counting down the hours that we have left on Earth. And I think it's fantastic. You're just a hell of a guy, and I appreciate everything you're doing. You idiot. You know what was kind of telling? Remember, didn't he run for president?
He sure did.
Yes, he did.
Against
And
W.
he was. They were telling some personal stories, and the only thing his kids could come up with is he fell off the dock or something trying to chase the dog.
I don't remember that.
Remember that? They just there really wasn't an abundance of memories of Dad.
That wasn't around much.
Yeah, well, he's saving the Earth.
He's winning the battle.
Saving the Earth. I
Yeah,
would
he
like to
lost
take
that.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
John.
I was just going to say he lost that presidential race. 62.4 million votes for Bush, 48.3 million for him. So 50.7% to 48.3% in 2004.
Well, it was somewhat comforting that he didn't really fool that many. Well, he fooled a lot of people, but
50 mil.
Yeah.
Almost half. yeah.
Almost half. Say, let's come back with John Heidt.
Okay.
Mr. Mike Schoonover on the horn with us because it's Positive Thursday. And as always, Positive Thursday brought to us by SchoonoverBodyWorks.com. Schoonover Body Works and Auto Care located in Shoreview at 1060 County Road E. And Mike, is it true you're talking to us from your new office?
I am, Kenny. If this was a body, if we were doing body work here, we'd be partially done. We'd be in the reassembly phase, and then on to detail. So
nice.
We're in the home stretch here.
Oh, that's got to be exciting. I sure hope they finish up that construction on Lexington soon. That is just awful on Lexington between County E and 694. I would suggest using Snelling over to County E if you're going to go over to Schoonovers on 1060 County E. Are you finding that to be a problem at all there, that construction?
It is. It's aggravating. There's been a lot of issues between all kinds of municipalities and entities and whatnot. But this fall, it's going to be done and it's going to be nice. So, but yeah, you're right. Yeah. Either Snelling or Victoria would be the best bet and just avoid Lexington altogether.
So I've been hearing from GLers and reading pieces in business sections and about Tesla and their business model and how Tesla has and I'm hoping you can either confirm or deny this, how Tesla has made it pretty difficult on certain shops to do business with Tesla customers because these shops aren't, quote unquote, Tesla approved. Am I BSing here? Am I hearing the right thing, or what are you dealing with? What are you seeing?
No, you're totally right. And unfortunately, Kenny, we try to help all customers, everybody that comes in. Obviously, we don't fix semi trucks. We don't fix RVs. We don't, we got to stay in our wheelhouse of what we do.
Okay.
Passenger cars, on the other hand, we try to, fix as many or help, every customer out that, no matter what kind of brand they have. And there's some brands we can't fix. There's high-end BMWs or Mercedes that we don't fix those. And Tesla, when they first came out, I thought it would be kind of cool to be able to work on those, but they are making it difficult for not only shops, so I would need to spend a great amount of money to be able to be certified, by hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment to be able to service these Teslas, which the return on investment would not be there. So, we're not going to even make that investment. But the big challenging part is the way that they operate their business. They still have supply chain issues, or it's just a built-in supply chain issue with getting parts for customer cars. Something as simple as a little molding, will take weeks and weeks. And I can only order it from somebody who is certified. Tesla won't sell it to me.
Wait, what? Wait, what? You can't just call Tesla and say, send me over the molding?
No, because Tesla doesn't even answer their phone and they don't return their phone calls. So I can't. I need to be certified in order to install a wheel opening molding on a Tesla. And so that model just doesn't make sense. I could understand if I needed to buy structural parts or very sophisticated components to a vehicle, but simple body parts should be able to be purchased by not only me but by a consumer. This particular part that we were talking about, I think it was a Model Y. Just a wheel opening molding, I think, is $50 some odd. But on the aftermarket or online from private parties, they're selling them for $150 to $200, knowing that the supply chain is limited to those who can buy. So so that adds time to the repair, that adds cost to the repair. So I guess if I were a GLer thinking about buying a Tesla, I would want to know how much it's going to cost to insure, because they are expensive to insure. I would want to know what the availability of parts, where I can get it repaired, all those types of things. Because again, it's just, buyer beware. And, when it takes weeks and weeks to fix really minor bodywork because you're waiting on parts, it just doesn't make sense.
Wow, that just takes the car owner right out of the equation. Can't even put on, like, say, a taillight lens.
Correct. Yeah, and when you limit the supply of not only parts but also the suppliers of services like ourselves, when you make it challenging for us to do the work, which is already challenging enough because we have a customer who doesn't want to be here because it's a wrecked car. There was a negative situation that happened. But then you add the insurance component to it. Then all of a sudden you add the parts component to it where you can't get them and it's delayed. and then when it does come in, you got to get it back into production. So it's just a challenge, and it's not doing Tesla customers good. It's not a good deal for Tesla customers.
Well, it's not a very good business model. It's not good for them. It's good for nobody. Boy, that's good
Correct.
to know. If you're a GLer considering a Tesla, that's something you need to know. Meanwhile, if you're not in a Tesla, if you're in a car, truck, whatever, anything you need related to your vehicle, it can be had right there at Schoonover Body Works and Auto Care in Shoreview. They are GL's official body shop. One of the top shops in town, schoonoverbodyworks.com.
I don't have any more to do.
Right. Here's a man that needs face lotion.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Does this kick in?
I can't
or does it just stay like this?
I don't remember.
Is this Dylan?
It kicks in a minute.
Usually we only hear about, ooh, wait a minute.
Might be wrong. Wow, nice solo. Ooh.
Here's John Heidt.
Solo. Thank you, Joe.
Wait a minute.
It's getting psychedelic on us.
Oh, is that nice?
I pulled a Suchi the other day.
Yeah.
I finally watched an extended clip. I haven't seen the whole thing of Get Back yet, but I was watching the part where he's doing the Jojo, and he's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I kept doing
back,
you.
yeah.
Come on, you can get there.
You can get there.
That was a neat clip, though. That was a pretty cool clip. I've heard that movie's okay.
I wish your kid would release more to Twitter of him playing the guitar.
My kid plays guitar now about once every 2 weeks. So.
I just am so disappointed by that.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to
disappointed.
get him to. I said, you and I could sit down and do 40 songs tomorrow night, but I can't get him to agree.
All right, here's John Heidt.
Why, thank you very much, Joe. As we've said, we had the worst air quality in America
All right.
yesterday.
Congratulations.
That is fantastic.
Congrats to all. Yes.
Things should get better from here. The air will be a bit cleaner later today as the plume of thick smoke from those wildfires in Canada moves through and then away from the area. As far as rain is concerned, we could use some rain. That would help. We might see a few showers and thunderstorms move in Saturday afternoon or Sunday.
I actually was wondering last night.
Here we go.
Where could I drive to get some air? Well, you couldn't go east because Wisconsin was, and I didn't know where to drive. Iowa was pretty good.
Sure.
But I never went anywhere.
We could do like what the neighbor does. Give us a call, good neighbor.
Yeah.
You got good air?
You got air, I'm
Good
coming
neighbor?
out.
I told Joe this earlier. I overheard a conversation in which two people said, man, they got to do something about this air control quality.
Yeah, well, who's they?
And what are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
A Minnesota man is among 6 people charged for allegedly trafficking stolen human remains, according to federal prosecutors. The charges were filed in federal court in Pennsylvania against 52-year-old Matthew Lampy of East Bethel and 5 other people. According to a news release, the charges come from a nationwide network of individuals who bought and sold human remains stolen from Harvard Medical School and an Arkansas mortuary. One of the individuals managed the morgue for the Harvard Medical School, which procured organs and other parts of cadavers for medical research, according to prosecutors. It's alleged he stole organs and other body parts before their scheduled cremations and sold the remains along with his wife. The transactions were arranged online through social media and over phone calls.
You need a liver?
I have a question.
I can get you a liver.
Yes, sir.
What do you do with the remains?
Well, isn't this your guy? And get you a tow by 3 o'clock?
Who's the market for this?
Well, there's, sometimes the satanic cults require a
I
heart.
need a knee. What do you?
A bleeding
No,
heart.
serious question. Who are they selling this stuff
Matthew, how do you prepare a spleen on the grill?
You would put it in, or soak it in virgin olive oil, and then what you do, you'd probably add a little pepper, some salt, and then you want to sear it. You don't want to bake it. Get it on the pan about 30 seconds
But
on
are
each
you
side.
selling limbs, or are you selling organs, or everything?
You're selling them to Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Vinny Boom Ba.
A Ramsey County jury has convicted the second man charged in connection to the 2021 mass shooting at a St. Paul bar. The day after getting the case, jurors found 34-year-old Terry Lorenzo Brown guilty of second-degree murder and 4 counts of attempted second-degree murder for the shooting that killed 27-year-old Markeisha Wiley and left more than a dozen other people injured at 7th Street Truck Park Bar. He was also convicted of an illegal gun possession charge. Prosecutors say Brown and another man, Devondre Phillips, who was tried and convicted in February, had a shootout in the bar, showed a complete disregard for everyone else inside the bar. Brown's attorney argued that Brown acted in self-defense after Phillips fired at him. Phillips is scheduled to be sentenced next week. Brown's sentencing is scheduled for August 8th. Minnesota sports note, Lindsay Whalen is not working for the University of Minnesota anymore and was paid a termination fee, according to a release agreement. The university had announced on March 2nd that Whalen stepped down from her position as head coach of the women's basketball team and was going to a newly created role of special assistant to the athletics director. She was expected to stay in that new role through the rest of her contract, which was set to run through April 12th, 2025. However, this release agreement shows that by April 6th, Whalen determined the new position was not in her best interest and requested the university treat the circumstances as a termination without cause under terms of the employment agreement. As part of her contract, the university then fired her and paid her a $215,000 termination fee, as her contract had called for. Whalen coached the Gophers from 2018 to 2023. The Gophers athletics director Mark Coyle said on March 2nd he and Whalen had multiple discussions and both felt it was the right time for her to step down from the program. The Supreme Court this morning, preserved the system that gives preference to Native American families in foster care and adoption proceedings of Native children, rejecting a broad attack from some Republican-led states and white families who argued it's based on race. The court left in place the 1978 Indian Child Welfare Act. That was enacted to address concerns that Native children are being separated from their families and too frequently placed in non-Native homes. Tribal leaders had backed the law as a means of preserving their families, traditions, and cultures. This story is a couple of months old. I don't think we talked about it then, or maybe we did. I don't know.
We can't remember. Yeah, we never know
what we do.
G. Eller sent it to me, Joe, and he said he'd like a ruling from you. He wants to know if this guy's an idiot or a genius.
Okay.
Driver had come to wider attention on Minnesota's social media after being spotted hauling a 4-wheel ATV on top of a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
The unusual sight was spotted in Elk River, north of the Twin Cities, with the ATV lashed to the silver sedan with bungee cords and tie straps.
Jeez. Yeah.
The tires were secured with wood, acting as parking blocks on the roof and trunk of the Corolla. A lot of social media folks were worried about the whole thing. Many left their concern for the vehicle's suspension after making that haul, among other things. All the State Patrol had to say about it at the time was that anyone traveling with an unsecured load could be ticketed following an inspection.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Idiot.
We've been seeing that for quite a few years, that and snowmobiles and
what
stuff
happens
like that.
when this idiot brakes at a high speed? That thing's it's not going to remain on the vehicle.
They're properly strapped with the bungees.
Well, even more crucially, how do you get it up there?
Well, that's not a problem.
Yeah, it is.
You go
You
Bigfoot
put a
style.
ramp up to the trunk and you drive it up there.
Huh. Well, good for
Kenny,
him.
you've done that before, huh?
Yeah, maybe you guys should get out of the city once in a while.
Speaking of idiots on the highway,
yes, sir.
Ken, did I see someone on a bicycle try to get on 394 the other day?
They rode inbound 394 took the Dunwoody exit, then got back on eastbound 94 at Hennepin-Lindale, went over to the exit to southbound 35W, but then hung a left and went into downtown Minneapolis.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Get out of my way. This is now a bike lane.
The ironic part was when they were on inbound 394, he was actually going faster than the traffic.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so he was passing cars.
Wow. So I was on the bike.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a short break at this time and throw it to Mr. Reavers?
We will. Thank you, Johnny. I want to remind you, GLers, it's mosquito season, so get the best. It's Ray and Mike, the father and son team that operate 2 franchises of Mosquito Shield. Listen, You want to decide when it's time to go inside, not the mosquitoes and the ticks and getting rid of them. That's their expertise. They use a proprietary blend that's specifically formulated to rid your yard of mosquitoes and ticks, and it was invented by the founder of Mosquito Shield. It's used exclusively by the company. You cannot go buy this stuff on the shelf. They're going to take great care of you and your yard. They typically come out every 10 to 17 days for an application, and they do so until the mosquitoes and the ticks go dormant, usually around the end of September or the start of October. They also stand behind their work. If for any reason that you're going to need them in between applications, they will do an additional service call at absolutely no charge. So here's what you do. Go online, find them at moshield.com. That's moshield.com, and just enter your zip code, and you're going to find them. Or you can give Kelsey and Mike a call directly at 612-619-1556. You mention GL, and you are going to get $50 off your service. Hello?
Not a Garage Logic Town Council member? Here's what you're missing.
I'm panicking that I've promised all the girls these Taylor Swift tickets, and
That's going to cost you $10,000.
At this point, yeah, you're kind of late in the game here.
9 tickets.
Oh, it's going to cost you $20,000.
Well, I won't pay $20,000. I'll say it.
9 tickets?
They will hate you forever. You already promised them?
Do you realize what you're going to spend, seriously?
I'm sure they're very expensive.
To get in the door, you're going to be spending $300 just to get in.
I'll go $300. That's $2,700.
But they're going to be sitting on the frickin' roof.
I know somebody that just paid $12,000.
For how many tickets?
3.
4?
Oh, Jesus, what I got into here.
Go behind the scenes of Garage Logic with unfiltered audio and video access, invites to exclusive events, an emailed newsletter from the mayor himself, and more by signing up at garagelogic.com.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
You want to save some money on a Toro zero-turn mower, Tri-State Bobcat of Burnsville, Hudson, and Little Canada is the place to do it. Toro's actually upped the rebate. Now, we've been talking about it for a month or more, the 54-inch MyRide zero-turn. They've upped the rebate to $500 for a final price of $4,199. But they also included the fact that it can now be used in tandem with 0% financing for 42 months. That makes taking one of these babies home pretty easy. They also have the $500 rebate available on most standard MyRide Time Cutter Zero mowers. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the 54-inch. And it's pretty much everything except the Havoc, HAVOC, Havoc. Yeah. That 50-inch Time Cutter, the price remains $37.99, but that still includes the special 5-year warranty and a Toro Total Care warranty extension, giving us a $460 value. Pretty great deals on Toro zero-turn mowers, courtesy of Toro and Tri-State Bobcat. And the day is coming really soon when Tri-State's going to be throwing open the doors in St. Croix Falls. They're on Highway 8. Their equipment's still rolling in the door, putting the final touches on the joint. It won't be long now. And you'll find all the equipment from Toro, Bobcat, Steel, and that amazing Fecon mulching tractor. You may have seen me running that thing on Twitter and Facebook. It's got that bullhog attachment. You can take down full-grown trees. It's so awesome. And all of that will be available in St. Croix Falls, as they are in Hudson, Little Canada, and Burnsville. Oh, and Mankeys down in Owatonna. Swing over to the website, check everything out, tristatebobcat.com.
In other news, several U.S. federal government agencies have been hit in a global cyber attack that exploits a vulnerability in a widely used software. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency is providing support to several federal agencies that have experienced intrusions that affected the software exploited by the hackers. That, according to Eric Goldstein, the agency's Executive Assistant Director for Cybersecurity. It's not immediately clear if the hackers responsible for breaching the federal agencies were a Russian-speaking ransomware group that has claimed credit for numerous other victims in a hacking campaign. A CISA spokesperson had no comment when CNN asked who carried out the hack of federal agencies and how many have been affected. 2 American tourists found dead inside their luxury hotel room in a seaside community on Mexico's Baja California peninsula. Police and paramedics arrived at the hotel on Tuesday night after getting a report that the Americans were unconscious in their room. Inside, they found a man and a woman with no vital signs. They are identified as 41-year-old John Heathco and 22-year-old Abby Lutz, according to a statement from the Baja California Sur County Attorney General's office. It noted that Lutz is from Newport Beach, California. Their cause of death was deemed as intoxication by a substance to yet be determined. The Associated Press reported the suspected cause of death was gas inhalation. By the time the two were found by authorities, the man and woman had been dead for 10 to 11 hours, no signs of violence. They'd been staying at the Hotel Rancho Pescadero, a luxury resort owned by Heidt, renting a room at that place, spendy, to say the least, maybe up to $1,500 a night for a public or private.
Where's that at?
The Baja.
That is the Baja.
The Baja. I'm off the grid. I'm off the grid.
The Los Angeles Times, back when newspapers were real, had a columnist named Jack Smith. Does anybody know that name?
Jack Smith.
And he had a, much the way a Minnesotan would have a cabin in Brainerd or something, he had a vacation place in the Baja. And this would have been back in the 60s, 50s and 60s. And he would write about it occasionally.
And
I realized the minute I mentioned it that I had no punchline for that. There was nowhere I was going to take that.
He's my former neighbor.
Just letting us know.
He was just up the beach.
I'm just letting you know.
Did you have a nickname for Mr. Smith, Mr. Governor?
I call him Smitty.
They still letting you drive, Joe?
He was like the Jim Klobuchar of the Los Angeles Times, only he didn't make up quotes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now you redeemed yourself.
There's your punchline.
He wasn't an angry liar, you mean?
Yeah. A listener just submitted a piece of audio from our president from yesterday. And
Yes.
I'm looking for a spot to insert it.
He had a tooth problem, I think.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, seriously, he had a root canal.
Oh.
And I think you're going to play something. We're going to hear him with the Novocaine hadn't worn off yet.
Well, that may be true, but he was speaking at the League of Conservation Voters annual Capitol dinner,
talking
about some of the infrastructure plans that this administration hopes to achieve.
All right.
There is a little music underneath because you'll understand why.
We're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I could go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble.
So check this out.
No, wait a minute.
What in the...
Wait a minute. We're going to have a railroad across the ocean?
Yeah! Come on
That's a long trip, man.
Did we hear that right?
We're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build
across the Indian Ocean.
In Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I could go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble.
I need to consult my map.
I'm going to get in trouble
because I'm going off
saying
script.
This, which is virtually him saying, I'm not even supposed to be saying any of this stuff.
I need to read what's in front of me.
I'll read whatever they tell me to read.
All the way across the Indian Ocean.
Yeah,
that's an impressive railway.
I'm trying to figure out in my mind's eye where the Indian Ocean connects with the Pacific.
It would be somewhere
over there and around India.
Somewhere around Indonesia, Malaysia.
Boy, that's a long train line.
I have a technical question about the new rail system that the president is proposing.
Yeah.
What happens if the train breaks down, halfway across the ocean?
Yeah, there's nowhere to go.
Where do you do?
It's just water.
You just let people out and
where do they go?
Swim back?
You'd be just on the tracks above the water. There'd be nowhere to go. I'm glad we're working on that, Mr. Biden. That's fantastic.
The Indian Ocean meets the Pacific Ocean at Cape Horn. It meets the Pacific Ocean at Cape Horn and the Indian Ocean at Cape Agulhas, south of Africa.
Okay, thank you.
But Biden appears to forget which oceans border Africa.
Mm-hmm.
We have another person entering the Republican field for the presidency. It's Miami Mayor Francis Suarez.
All right.
He says he thinks he can broaden the appeal for Republicans nationally, especially to Hispanics. The 45-year-old Suarez filed official federal paperwork on Wednesday Suarez has touted the city's low crime rate and economic successes, but he's lately been dogged by news reports about a developer who hired him to allegedly secure permits for a stalled real estate project at the same time the developer was trying to win approval for a city project. Another looming problem for Suarez is whether he can raise enough money from enough supporters to qualify for a Republican debate scheduled for later this summer. Suarez also could be hampered by his acknowledgement that he did not vote for Donald Trump in either 2016 or 2020. Suarez has acknowledged he did not vote for DeSantis in Florida for governor in 2018 and tangled with him at one point over COVID-19 restrictions during the pandemic. He did say recently he voted for DeSantis in the next election in 2022.
Has a president ever run coming from a mayoral seat? That's a heck of a leap, going from a mayor to the presidency.
Was Hubert Humphrey the mayor of Minneapolis? Of course, he didn't run for president as a mayor. Mayors. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't think of...
I can't, nothing springs to mind.
Got it.
And probably it would be something we've previously talked about.
And
I probably asked it before.
Forgot, yeah. So, Glenda Jackson, a two-time
I'm sorry,
Academy...
he was mayor of Minneapolis, the
Yeah.
35th mayor from 45 to 48.
Yeah.
Glenda Jackson, a two-time Academy Award-winning performer who had a second career in politics as a British lawmaker before an acclaimed late-life return to stage and screen, has died at the age of 87. Jackson's agent said she died Thursday at her home in London after a short illness. He said she had recently finished up filming The Great Escaper, in which she co-starred with 90-year-old Michael Caine. Born into a working-class family in 1936 in Birkenhead, she ended up training at the Royal Academy for Dramatic Arts in London. She won a couple of Oscars back in the 1970s, one for Women in Love in 1971 and A Touch of Class in 1974. In her 50s, she went into politics, won election to Parliament. She spent 23 years as a Labour Party lawmaker, serving as a Minister for Transport in Prime Minister Tony Blair's first government in 1997. Not sure what took so long, but UPS drivers finally will get air conditioning in their trucks. This news comes as the delivery giant and the Teamsters Union negotiate a new contract for the workers set to expire July 31st. Starting next year, UPS package delivery trucks will come equipped with AC, the company and the union announced. Older trucks will be retrofitted to allow AC. The company will also install fans in the driver's cab and exhaust heat shields for the cargo area and non-electric trucks. Shields reduce the amount of heat passing from the truck's engine to the cargo hold. Those cargo holds can reach 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
I have a question. Does UPS realize it's 2023?
Yeah, but they don't have doors on those trucks, do they?
No, but again,
Yeah, they do. They slide in.
We're sliding.
Yeah.
But they're so damn
It's
hot,
awfully
they want
nice
to keep
of
them
them.
open.
It's awfully nice of them to do that for their employees.
The first grade teacher who was shot by her 6-year-old student in
Yes.
Virginia, remember her?
Yes, I
She
do.
She has apparently resigned from her position, according to school officials. That would be 2 months after she sued the district for $40 million. The last day of Abby Zwerner's contract was this past Monday, Newport News Public Schools said in a statement. The district said that Zwerner notified Human Resources in March that she would not be returning to school next year. The 25-year-old Zwerner was shot in the hand and chest as she sat at a reading table by her in her first grade classroom, January 6th, spending 2 weeks in the hospital and enduring multiple surgeries. Zwerner filed a lawsuit in early April, alleging that school officials ignored multiple warnings that the boy had a gun and was in a violent mood that day. The school board has pushed back, asking a judge to dismiss the case and arguing that Zwerner should get workers' compensation instead. Her lawyer, Jeffrey Bright, cited an email that school officials sent Zwerner in May saying that they had processed a separation of employment for her effective at the close of June 12th. The lawyer said, "I don't think you can read this any other way than to say she's been fired, and that's what she thinks. She doesn't understand it. She says there's been no communication."
John, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's just fantastic. And we're going to take a time out right now.
Well, we are, but prior to that, I'm going to tell you about the wonderful garage logicians over at Minnesota Masonic Charities, online at mnmasoniccharities.org. They do the work of the Lord. Literally, I'm telling you, they are very philanthropic. Since its inception, MMC has given away over $70 million in funds for charitable causes and subsidies. You can check out all of the endeavors that they support online at mnmasoniccharities.org. So basically, it's a Garage Logic concept. They sit around, they have the funny meetings, the handshakes, all that kind of stuff, but they're giving you full disclosure of what they do. They pick the picnic table, sit in the garage, decide where they're going to disperse their money. And there's a huge history of men that have been Masons for, hundreds of years. Check out the list. You can go see their place in Bloomington. Tell them the Rookie sent you. Maybe you get the private tour. Call 952-948-6200, 952-948-6200. The reason they're on Garage Logic is because they want the secret out. The secret is there's really no secret. It's just a bunch of people doing very, very good things and giving money and help to people that need it. Online at mnmasoniccharities.org. Check out these GLers, 952-948-6200, and let them know the Rook sent you.
This guy wears many hats, just not indoors. Joe Souchere.
California legislature has a bill in front of them.
Now what?
It would classify not affirming your child's gender as child abuse.
Oh, my God.
So, little Billy comes up and says, I want to be Mary. And if you say, well, you're not, you would not be affirming the child's choice. So that would be considered child abuse.
Okay. No.
I don't understand any of that. I just
don't either.
There is a viral. I know you hate this, but there is a viral video, and I'm sure the four of us have seen it, of a TikTok. I don't even know if he's an influencer, but he's got a very popular account in which he's transitioning his 4-year-old son into a girl.
I've not seen that.
It's
and I want to see it.
That's all his idea.
The dad's.
Yeah, the kid doesn't know what he wants.
And it's just, I feel so bad for that kid. Because the kid's just, this is what dad wants me to do. I'm going along with it.
That's child abuse.
Yes.
Yeah. You're ruining a human being is what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so awful for that kid. I just do.
I got a lot of things that happened on this day in history.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Thank God you have to write today.
Let's have at him.
This comes to us all the way from the traveling Wilburys.
Okay.
No.
Huh? Wait a minute.
The traveling Lymans.
There you go.
At Fernandina in the Villages, Florida.
Okay.
And, for example, on this day in 1851, artist Frank Blackwell Mayer arrived in St. Paul from Baltimore to make drawings of the pending treaty negotiations at Traverse des Sioux. These drawings and his diary, published as With Pen and Pencil on the Frontier in 1851, provided a valuable record of frontier and Native American life.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. It was on this day in 1892.
Joe, today is June 15th.
A windstorm traversed Jackson and Martin counties, then split into two parts near Winnebago City in Faribault County. Is there still a Winnebago City, I wonder?
Well, I can look it up.
And one part traveled northeast into Freeborn County, the other southeast, passing near Albert Lee. About 50 were killed and 85 in the 85-mile path of the storm.
Oh,
and it wasn't even called a tornado. It was just called a windstorm.
Okay.
There is a city of Winnebago, Minnesota.
Well, there you are.
Right on 169.
On this day in 1909.
June 15th.
On this very day, back in 1909.
09, okay.
The St. Paul police activated motorcycle patrols with 2 plainclothes officers watching traffic on Summit Avenue.
Don't you wish you would have one of those right now?
Well, that'd be collectible, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
On this day in 1933.
Winnebago is just northeast of Huntley, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. On this day in 1933.
June 15th.
William Ham Jr., son of the owner of Theodore Ham Brewing, was kidnapped at Minnehaha Street and Greenbrier Avenue in St. Paul. He was released after a ransom of $100,000 was paid. Gangster Roger Tooley was brought to trial but acquitted. And the investigators later learned that the real culprits were the Barker Karpus gang.
Yeah, the Barkers were idiots, but Karpus was pretty bright.
Yeah.
I thought that was yesterday, by the way.
It's today, June 15th.
Okay.
And on this day in 1939,
615.
Crown Prince Olaf of Norway dedicated Duluth's Anger Tower, which offers spectacular views of Duluth Harbor and Lake Superior. Bert Anger was a Norwegian-born businessman who ran a successful furniture store in Duluth. He donated much of his estate to the city after his death. It's not often you get a civic monument for a guy who owned a furniture store.
That's true. Very true.
Right? But the king, I mean, even they got the king for this.
They got him.
Olaf came over, and it turns out Bert Anger, for whom the tower is named, was born in 1864 and died in 1931.
All right.
And then 8 years later, here came the Crown Prince of Olaf, not of Olaf, Crown Prince Olaf of Norway.
Yes.
And Bert got his moment in the sun there, and I believe that Anger Tower, of course, still exists.
Can we end with a trivia question for young Matthew?
We might.
Can you name the members of the Traveling Wilburys? Just simply in an effort to agitate John and Kenny.
The guy with the glasses, Roy Orbison.
Dead.
He just died down and running down. Tom Petty.
Attaboy.
They died 5-6 years ago.
And
Just
Dylan.
died.
I'll give you a hint on one of them. My football picture. Who did you say I look like in that picture?
Why can't I think of the other?
Jeff Lynne. George Harrison.
George Harrison.
Who?
I was gonna
Let's
say
ask him the
You're
easy
still
question.
missing one.
Who is the remaining member who, and here's the big hint, still alive?
Dylan.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jeff Lynne's still alive.
Well, they're all.
Oh, Jeff is alive? Oh, I didn't realize.
Jeff Lynne's still
Jeff Lynne
alive.
has the beard.
Good.
Who am I missing, John?
You got them all.
You got
That's
them
it.
all.
We didn't. We hadn't named Dylan at that point.
Oh,
I'm so tired of being lonely.
that's Roy Orbison.
Yeah. But that's as the Wilburys.
He was in the Wilburys.
Yeah.
I knew it would work.
Some love to give.
I knew it would work.
They were okay.
Oh, come on.
Get together.
I'm not taking it, Joe. Joe, I'm not taking it.
No, they were okay. I mean, it was slapped together.
No
and
big deal.
They
First
didn't
album
take it
was
that
wonderful.
seriously.
NBD, Joe says.
Yeah,
They didn't take it that seriously, but the first album was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First album was a good 8.
They
or
had a
9
lot
out
of fun
10.
with it. It was a fun little side gig for them. It was.
It was like
it
you
worked
with
great.
wood boats.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out for them. Now I see where the Beatles are going to release what Paul McCartney's calling their final song, and they're using artificial intelligence to make Lennon's voice a part of it. Now I don't know how that works.
Yeah, you're not an engineer.
Yeah.
Do we approve?
I did have this story Tuesday, right? You guys know that.
Yes.
We
I
don't
read this
remember
story.
anything, John.
Yeah, I
apparently.
figured you
Tomorrow.
In the theme of this week, John, we're
forgot.
redoing the story again on the show.
Tomorrow, I'm going to read a letter that I wrote to my friend in 1979.
Sonny?
Cool.
You know what?
Wow.
I think a guy found him.
Really?
I can't believe
think
with
a
all
guy
this
found him.
notice, he can't be found.
Well, I don't know where he is, but this is the guy because he was born in December of '68, and this gentleman found him for me. So I'm going to try to connect with him after the
still
show.
local, or,
Mike
you know?
Mike Price, thank you.
Mike.
Yeah, he's still local. He's still here.
Cool.
Well, and you, the new rule is we're done with that. You're never bringing in another letter or report.
Oh, I did a pretty good first communion letter.
Because it catches us as for the morons we apparently are.
I do remember I did either first communion or was it first confession?
Well, we don't want either of them.
Well, I already read them, so I won't bring them back. We read them on the air.
We did?
Yeah, because I talked about the treats afterwards, the cookies and the food, and you ripped me for that.
Shocking.
That was one of my memories of the thing.
Okay. All right.
All right, no more.
Is it plausible that I remember being baptized?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
I do.
How old
No,
were
you
you?
don't.
Wait, how old
No,
were you?
you don't.
17.
Yeah, right.
You don't even know. You don't even remember how to get home. There's no way you remember.
I can remember. I can remember the car and everything.
It can't be. It must have been the baptism of one of your siblings. Maybe.
No, it
Were
was
you
me.
2 weeks old?
That
or-
was me.
17. Were you down at the river?
Yep. They went to the river.
There's a viral video of it's in the South, I'm not sure where, of a pastor that's baptizing someone in the river, and one of the little kids yells, "Alligator." And basically, that dude walks on water, just dropping whoever he was about to dunk. And the little kid was just playing. He said, "Alligator, alligator," and that whoever it was just took off.
Baby goes.
That's a pretty good stunt.
Yes, and it wasn't a baby. It was someone that was maybe 12 or 15. So they were.
Well, yeah, I would
but the
hope he
pastor
didn't
was
drop
not.
an infant.
The pastor was gone.
He gone. We're going to finish this on the beach.
Right.
That's funny.
All right, thank you, GLers.
Oh my God!
What?
I just saw the video that Ricky mentioned. I'm out of here.
It's pretty good. Yeah. All right, thank you, GLers, for going to GarageLogic.com, signing up for the town council. It'll cost you $10 a month or $100 for the year. You're going to get a $10 Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores.
Do town
gift
council
certificate.
members get a deal at the talk shop?
10% off if you're a council member.
Really?
So that's another
You can
thing.
make your money back on one sweatshirt.
Another thing to check out at GarageLogic.com. You can buy our garb currently. Also, PodMN on your smartphone.
I'm keeping
That's
one of those
PodMN.
sweatshirts in my trunk for an emergency in case it gets cold. Or
That's a really good idea.
Or something else.
Yeah.
Subscribe to us on our YouTube page, Garage Logic. All you do is subscribe, and then you're entertained. We
You
covered
missed
it
a
all.
key element in the baptism video.
What'd I miss?
It's not a child; it's a full-grown man that's being
no.
baptized.
Did you kind of push him away to get out of it?
Wow. It is time once again that we pick up the phone. We make the call to our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is on the line with us once again here in Garage Logic. And now's the time for you because you need an expert to help you navigate these troubled waters, and he's here for you and has been for some time. So make that call, 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. You call that number, you get Josh. And as always, you will get straight talk, never sugar-coated advice for that free 48-minute financial consultation. He's on the line, and boy, Josh, they just simply know nothing, don't they?
They know nothing. Sergeant Schultz impersonation. They know nothing. I know nothing. I see nothing. Well, that's to me right now with the Fed. After raising interest rates for 15 months, the Fed finally paused and had a lot of hawkish words coming out that they're still very concerned with inflation. Inflation is still above their 2% target rate that they are definitely wedded to. They indicated that it's the jobs market. Too many people are working and they're making too much money, and that's bad. And housing prices still have not come down no matter what we've done. Housing prices continue to go up, or if they don't go up, they're at least they are leveling off, but they're still higher than we want them to be. And housing represents a third of the consumer price index. When it came out before the Fed meeting on Tuesday, what did it show? Inflation coming down. Inflation coming down, and coming down substantially. Now, of course, the Fed said, well, we're not really concerned that inflation really is coming down, but core inflation, which excludes food and fuel, that's not coming down fast enough, even though, of course, that indicated that inflation was coming down. When it comes to home prices, you can look at Lennar, which reported their earnings last night. They beat the street, top line, bottom line, raised guidance. They sold more houses, but at a lower price. Oh, my goodness. They sold more houses at a lower price? How do you do that? Selling more for less? I guess people are looking for bargains. Now, of course, Lennar did make money because input costs for housing. So commodities costs, lumber and other materials, and the cost of energy went down. All those to me are still components of inflation, and commodity prices are still down. The Fed to me is concerned, I'm not going to say with things that they shouldn't be concerned about, but for people who have PhDs and not realizing that wage inflation is going to be with us unless you can repeal mandates to cut minimum wage from $15 an hour back to $9.25 an hour. And I don't think that is going to be happening. Yes, the Fed does face what is known as a conundrum relating to unemployment, because during COVID, millions of baby boomers took early retirement. They're not coming back to work. Maybe they're working part-time, if that. The Fed is going to see higher wages are going to persist in order to get people out from taking, I can't really push this, out from taking government money and staying home to going back on the workforce. You want more people working, which continue to be a boost for the economy. So to me, the Fed pausing yet saying that they're going to raise interest rates at least twice more this year continues to make no sense. Time to just put the number on pause and keep it on pause. You want to keep interest rates high for the time being, fine. Keep the pause button, take a vacation, and leave it alone, for gosh sakes. Meantime, talking about companies, I mentioned Lennar being up. Housing or house stocks continue to be very, very strong, even with interest rates high. There is a shortage still of housing. No question about that. Other areas that have been strong outside of my favorite internet-related companies or leisure-related businesses have been in aerospace and have been in selected industrials. And, of course, my shoe companies, not all of them, but the shoe companies have continued to do well, whether it be Deckers with Hoka shoes and Uggs boots, whether it be On shoes, which are popular right now, not for me for running, but very, very, very popular brand right now. They have done well. Heck, even Wolverine Worldwide, which is Hush Puppies and Saucony shoes, has moved up, and Berkshire Hathaway's Brooks Sports has done well. And speaking of Berkshire Hathaway, that stock continues to march higher for those people who are looking for a well-rounded company, very strong overall management. Berkshire Hathaway might be your ticket. Now, if I divide it into some of its parts, well, you have the insurance aspect with Geico Insurance. You have their energy and utility aspect. You have their railroad, Burlington Northern Santa Fe. And then you have their stock portfolio, which is dominated by what Warren Buffett calls his fourth business, being Apple, and then also owning a lot of Coca-Cola and American Express, among other companies. Very strong, and that company has also hit a new high. Plenty more that's going to be happening over this year, and I'm still saying keep some money in cash for an inevitable pullback, and it'll give you an opportunity to pick up some favorite shares or add the shares at that time.
Very good advice, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now's the time for you to pick up that phone and make the call for that free 48-minute financial consultation by dialing 952-925-5608. Where you're always going to get straight talk and never sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Have a great rest of your day, a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.